Hey there, my beautiful friend. Thanks for joining me here on my channel. Remember that the class you're about to do is part of a whole series. So if you do the class and it really works for your body, then make sure to click the link in the description box below where you can download my app for free. There's loads of different things that you can do on the app, either paid or unpaid. It'll be so good to see you on the other side and we can communicate with each other there, and maybe you can tell me more of what you want and I can make you more series just like this one. Back for, what day are we on? Day 2. Day 2 of our Thoracic Spine Mobility Challenge, and we are going to be looking at something called mobility glides in today's session. So we're going to actually start off by whizzing through all of the little sensory stimuli that we learned yesterday, and then we're going to start doing the mobs to get more from our thoracic spines. So first things first, jump up, and let's start off by stimulating the non-dominant side of our breathing muscles. If you're right-handed, you're going to do your left side. If you're left-handed, you're going to be doing your right side. And just like a little monkey scratching themselves, you're going to give yourself a little rub down on the one side of your body. Remember, you've got breathing muscles quite high up here and a little bit lower down here. And then we also want to stimulate our joint-rich areas. So hands. Just imagine you're washing your hands. Because they occupy such a huge proportion of your brain, that's why they increase your body's ability to go into greater mobility. So those are hands, nice joint-rich area. Now let's do feet. And guys, just 20 seconds, literally. You don't have to do this for very long to get the benefits from the sensory stimulus. And then, of course, we can also do our upper backs. So we used our foam roller yesterday, but if you can reach, you can just give yourself a rub on your back. Remember, if you can't reach, that's totally okay. You can even roll up and down on the floor like this to give yourself that sensory stimulus. Whatever is best for you. Okay, nice one, guys. Now I'm going to be teaching you the mobility glides. And basically, if you were my patient and you were lying on my massage table, I would provide individual stimulus to literally each and every vertebra at a time. And I would do that by doing what we call posterior, anterior mobilizations. And if you were lying on your front, I'd literally be pushing down on each of the vertebra. We haven't got that gift of being together, but you can actually do a lot for yourself. So again, you can either use a pen, I'll grab a pencil to show you if you can't reach, like this kind of action, or you can actually use your fingertips, which I think is even better if you can reach. First thing we want to do is locate where our lower ribs are. And then you're going to switch your hands around to the back, and where your last thoracic vertebra is, you might guess, don't worry, just wherever you feel, yeah, it's probably here for me, you're going to start imagining that that joint is gliding from the back to the front. And a nice analogy to use is that your little vertebra is trying to get away from your thumb and then trying to rush back towards it. So you're using your thumb as a target. And I know that we're not just mobilizing this one vertebra. Obviously, so many more joints are involved in this action. But the fact that your thumb is touching that joint provides a large amount of information for your brain. And you'll be surprised how once you start doing this practice, you're going to figure out exactly where your sticky tight bits are. And then your brain is going to get enough feedback to start releasing those. So once you've done your thumb for a few glides there, you're going to shimmy your thumb up a bit higher to the next spinous process. That's the bit that sticks out. So again, we're just gliding forward and back with the chest. And in your mind, you're imagining just that one little vertebra is rushing away from the thumb and then pressing it away over and over. And then your thumb can go a little bit higher. And the the other thing you can look out for is not just where it feels sticky and tight, but where is it shaky? Because that shakiness tells us that our brain hasn't got accurate mapping of that area of our body, and we need to improve it. So here it starts getting a little harder to keep your thumb on the position. So I'm going to start using my index finger, but remember you can always grab a pencil just to make it a little bit less of a mobility challenge on your shoulder. And you can just keep the pressure on that one vertebra as you glide forward and back. Good, and then eventually you're going to find that it's going to be a lot more useful for you to switch now to the top hand and create that glide. We're going to go a little bit higher. Up here it starts getting really tricky because we normally think of this upper portion as moving as a single unit. So to really focus on those individual vertebrae doing the glide can be really tricky at first. But in some ways, that the hand, making that connection, it actually makes it a bit easier to feel that movement because there is movement there. We're just not used to using it. Okay, fingers again a little bit higher, and of course up here it's a whole different ball game because now you're involving your shoulders a bit. You'll feel your collarbones getting involved. Fantastic. So those are obviously all the little vertebrae along the thoracic spine, and if you were being super precise, you would do 12 because there are 12 thoracic vertebrae. They obviously correspond to the ribs, and the ribs also have the ability to do a PA glide. So P stands for posterior, A for anterior, and that just means from the back to the front. So what we're going to do now is you're going to wrap your hands around your ribs as if you're giving yourself a hug, and you're going to slide your fingertips down again to the lower ribs, the same way we did before. And you're going to imagine that your lower ribs are trying to push this one hand over to the side repeatedly. When you've done about 10, you're then going to push the other hand on the other side. And two reasons why I love this. One, we're doing the glide of the individual ribs, but two, you can actually feel the right side and the left side of your rib cage. And if the muscle activation is at all asymmetrical in any kind of way, you can become aware of that, and you'll be surprised at how much feedback the hand gives your brain as to how you need to adapt. Now we're going to move the hands just a little bit higher. Now your ribs aren't parallel to the floor, they angle a little bit. So you might want to do the same thing with your hands. Maybe your thumbs are a bit higher and your fingers are pointing down at the front. And you want to try and give just one rib as much feedback as possible with your hand. And then in your mind, you're imagining that one rib pushing your hand away. Good. And then we're going to go side on this one. So just to clarify, I was a bit vague. We were doing PA glides of the spine, but right now we're doing lateral glides of the ribs. We can also do PA glides of the ribs. I'll show you how. For now, we're doing our side-to-side maneuvers. Good. And then you're going to take your hands up again a notch. We're being a bit more vague with our movements because we only got a short class. So I'm going to maybe do, 5 from the bottom to the top, maybe every second rib. But you can do literally every single rib. In that case, again, it'll be 12. Fantastic. Let's switch to the other side. And also a nice thing you can do, of course you can do it as I am right now in standing, but remember that if you're trying to get deeper into your extension, you can also practice these different glides in your back bends. Okay, so this is just the starting point. This is not the finish line of how to utilize glides in your practice. Take hands right underneath your armpits now, but be precise. Really get your thumbs to feel where the bone of your rib is. And once you're like, yeah, that feels like a rib to me, we start the glide again. And then let's take it to the other side. I think traditionally we've always thought of mobility as being either a stretch or some kind of giant movement, but you can get so much value just from isolating single elements of your spine or your ribs. It's just patient work because there's so many of them. Okay, a little bit higher now. So here we've got obviously the shoulders in the way. So what I want you to do is take your thumbs and where your shoulders kind of, there's like a dent inwards, put your thumbs on that little dent. And again, it's a bit less side and more like diagonally up now with those upper ribs. And then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. And don't worry if you're finding this tricky, if you're like, oh gosh, there's so much muscle there, I can't really feel the rib. That's totally okay. What you can do instead is just use the fact that the thumb is providing a pressure point and you're trying to imagine you're gliding just in that single zone up towards your thumb. Excellente. Alrighty, give yourself a bit of a shake out. Let's just do a quick assessment on how our rotation is doing. Excellent. And then let's start utilizing this concept of mobilizing the ribs in rotation. So I want you to step your left foot forwards, take your right leg back. This is something we do a lot in our yoga practice. We've got this big lunge stance and then we twist. Well, you can use your mobs in the twist as well. So I want you to twist round, extend your left arm, take your right hand onto the front of your ribs. Now, I'm going to start off using my thumb, but you can always modify which fingers provide the pressure. My thumb, again, is seeking out a lower rib, and I'm just providing a little, guys, it's not even a push. It's just like as I twist, my thumb just gently glides into that rib. Now, it's really tempting to collapse the back hip with you as you do this. So be strict with yourself. Keep your headlights on your hips shining forwards. Let's take our thumb a little higher now. You might feel a lot going on in your back. Okay, a little bit higher now. I'm having to avoid all of my breast tissue. I've got all the way above it. And then we'll finish off going all the way up just underneath your collarbone. So now it's a very different sensation, the twist. Okay, we're used to being really gross with our movements, and I'm asking you to come into more of a fine quality. Oh, eek. Oh, it's tiring. Give yourself a big shake out. Let's do the other leg in front now. Right arm stretches out and we come into our twist. Left hand comes onto the front of the rib. Seek out a lower rib. When you find a nice big chunky one sticking out, place your thumb on it. You're creating a muscular twist. Okay, it is your strength taking you round, but there's this little bit of sensory feedback gliding through the thumb into the rib. And it obviously feels amazing when a physio does this for you, but the change in your brain is far less than if you do it yourself. So right now, although it's a lot harder work than if you have lovely hands on your body, it does mean that the changes are more long-lasting. Okay, take your hand a little higher now, find another big ribs, and then give it that mobilization. Awesome, my loves. Now let's take our thumb all the way up above our breast tissue. Remember, if you're a bloke and you've got the ability to go through the pec, awesome. Obviously, I don't want you to hurt yourselves by pushing hard on sensitive tissue. Okay, and really be careful not to let your legs get lazy like mine. I've had to really focus. You might have to even think of pulling that left hip back slightly just so it doesn't compensate. And then take the hand all the way up underneath your collarbone. And guys, because it's so high now, we're used to twisting from lower down in our thoracic spine. It's going to take a little more conscious effort. to really focus on that top rib being the reason you're going into rotation. Fabulous. Now, of course, the reason we're doing all of this is to see if it makes any difference to our upper backs in our back bends. So I'm not going to force you guys to go into a full back bend if it doesn't feel right for you. You've already done magic for your upper back. But if you're like, yeah, I'm pretty proficient at getting into back bends without too much crazy warm up, let's have a go. And I just want you to, again, do the same idea of the glides, but focusing obviously on your upper back, taking you into that back bend. So there's like these little baby shifts. We're going to do 5 more, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very, very good. Lower all the way down. Bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees open wide. Hands are on your belly. Close your eyes. Slow breath. Really fill up all of the lung tissue. And then slow release to exhale. Let's do one more. Inhale. From your nose, let go. Awesome. Hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little rock and roll. And I want to say a big thank you for joining me on the Thoracic Spine Challenge. It has been a pleasure being here with you guys. Mwah. I'll see you soon.